All right. Well, welcome back to Natural AF. I'm your host, Isaac.
And I'm Alexa.
And we got a great one for you. This show, Natural AF, is all about reconnecting to nature, getting in touch with who you really are, your true identity. I'm from America. Alexa's from Australia. And we're really bridging the gap between those two worlds, just with our own lived experience and our own healing journeys. You'll hear a bit about that. And we bring on experts to talk about how the things that we've experienced actually work, whether it's Psych K, emotion code, some really good personal healing, but as well as things that help with the health of your relationships, your family, and society as a whole. Now, this is kind of a blessed part of the world that I've found myself in. And this guest here today, Ranger Nick, is going to talk to us about a lot of things, just good, honest food, organic stuff, and his experience, a little bit of his life path as far as all the fun and adventures you can have out as a kid growing up in Australia. And then he's still basically a kid showing other big kids how to cook food the old-fashioned way around a camp stove.
Yeah.
And he's quite the artist with it. And
he's quite the character. We were lucky enough to meet Nick we do a few of the same markets together. We met him at one of them and we had a good old yarn, as we'd say in Australia. And he's such a character. This interview was lots of fun. We also learned a lot about Nick in this interview that we didn't already know about him.
Yes, and got a lot of stories.
And lots of laughs. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. And we also have to say, we did mention it in our interview with him, how amazing their curry kits are. So that's mostly what they sell at the markets. And then he's also got cookbooks and things like that. We've tried quite a few of their curries now, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. They are so delicious. The recipes that come with them, they're so easy to make. And so I'm just going to give you some of our recommendations because, they're just so good. And you can buy them online. So head to the link in the show notes to his website and you can shop online and they'll get sent out to you. Our favorites are, and I'm probably going to butcher these names, the dill percent curry. So this one's for red meat. We actually use kangaroo in this and it's divine. Another favorite is the Bengal fish curry. That one actually blew my mind. I've never made a fish curry before and it was amazing. They're probably our top two faves. And then a couple of other ones that we've tried are the Murgi Aloo or our Aloo, A-U-R. I don't know how that's said. That one's a chicken curry, and another red meat curry is the Pasanda Badam. I'm sure they're all amazing, but they're just some of our favorites. If you don't know which ones to choose, go with them, and I'm sure you'll love them.
He's even got a recipe for making cheese roti.
Yeah, they come with like roti recipes. It's just, and head to his YouTube.
It's a bread. I don't know. We never made, or did you make roti?
No, I did make it once, for one of them. It's just like an easy flatbread recipe.
Yeah. Anyways, making stuff by hand, throwing in some kangaroo or some crocodile or something.
Some emu.
Yeah, but these they're like seasoning packets, but it's so good. It's so well put
fresh.
together.
Yeah, so good. And
no
you can also...
Yeah,
and you can also head to his YouTube. He's got so many videos of like camp oven recipes just on YouTube. Yeah. So definitely check those out. He's got lots of good stuff.
I might try some camp oven cooking out at the festival.
Oh, God, we might burn the bush down, guys, if Isaac's cooking.
The best I could do, when I was a kid, we used to take the canned biscuit dough. We call it biscuit dough. Here, you would call it a scone or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you'd roll that or flatten it out, put cheese. Usually I just put cheese, but you could put sliced potatoes and put it in it, wrap it in foil, stick it in the coals, and then forget about it and come back and you got this burned chunk of charcoal with cheese inside of it. And I remember it was a lot of fun making our own little things at the campfire. But I feel, the story that you guys told about the doll, or what's it called? The dough. Anyways,
damper. We talked about damper.
Yeah, it's probably kind of like that, except it's a store-bought version of that dough.
Yeah.
And this brought back some memories as a kid, and I'm excited to up my game when it comes to campfire skills.
Yeah. And speaking of the Living Free Festival, it's only 1 week away now, guys. It's
coming
next weekend, which is so wild that it's so soon. I'm getting like the anticipatory nerves. I'm excited. There's a little bit of nerves because I'll be presenting a workshop. Isaac's going to be emceeing. We're going to have a stall for natural art form. So there's a lot to prepare in the next week and a half, but it is going to be so much fun. There's just so many activities for the kids. It's family friendly. There's a stage for for the international speakers and, well, all the big wigs and the music artists. And then there's going to be a separate stage for all the workshops. There's so many amazing workshops planned. So it's going to be a super fun packed 3 days. If you would like to get tickets, if you haven't already, you can get discounted tickets using our code NaturalAF at livingfreefestival.org. The direct link to that with the code is in our link tree. So just head to our link tree in the show notes and you can get there and get your tickets, and we hope to see you there.
Yes, and Natural Art Form will have a market stall there. So we'll be there running that booth, as I like to call it. And we're going to have all our products there. You'll even be able to buy Barbara O'Neill's book. So we sell those currently just in person. So those will be available at the festival. If you've purchased from us online and are thinking about reordering online, don't forget to check your emails. We have a program for reviews. So if you want to submit, you can get up to 20% off on top of the 10% listener discount. So for those that don't know, if you go to naturalartform.com and put in code NaturalAF10, you can save 10% off any order. And if you submit a video review, you'll get another email with a 20% off discount. And you can actually add those together, save 30% off. So if you want to stock up on something, or if you're buying gifts or something like that, you want to share with others, which a lot of people that have purchased from us love to do. I encourage you to get as much savings as you can. So we love the video testimonials. You can see some on our website now to kind of give you some inspiration, idea, just something short.
And just some great stories. There are some really amazing testimonials on those videos. So go and give them a watch.
Yeah, I was actually laughing earlier because I was like, I didn't coach anybody on this. We did a Zoom call kind of thing. And I just asked them how their experience went. And a lot of the things are pretty extreme. Like, one guy literally crawled to grab the jar of Alleviate because his calves were cramped up.
True story.
One guy that, we've seen him on the podcast, Mark Devine, flew off a snowmobile and shattered his shoulder blade, and he's been using it to help him rehabilitate his shoulder. And there's so many extreme stories, but it's even good for just normal aches and pains, arthritis, that kind of thing. Alleviate is a flagship product that I started Natural Art Form with. Anyways, so go check that out. See us at the festival. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, because we send out discounts and specials every month, as well as our market listings, like where we're going to be that month on the weekends here in Australia. So we'd love to see you guys at the market. Come by and say hi. And let us know you listen to the show, and we'll give you a big high five.
All right. Without any further ado.
Yeah, let's go hear what Ranger Nick has to say about crocodiles and stuff.
Let's get into it. Ranger Nick is an entertainer, educator, author, multi-award winner, and world record holder. Often referred to as the Dundee of camp oven cooking, Ranger Nick puts Aussie fun into every bite. Regarded as a leader in the camp oven industry, Ranger Nick is recognised as an entertaining bush cook and master of simplicity, consistently generating fresh, innovative, and creative concepts for cooking with the camp oven. Previously an environmental education support officer and ranger guide from outback Queensland, Ranger Nick applies his bush skills wherever his journeys lead him. When he isn't cooking up a storm, he shares his knowledge with school groups and fellow adventurers, teaching them the art of bush skills, camp oven cooking, and outdoor etiquette. With a patriotic approach, Ranger Nick is proudly part of the Australian-owned campaign and encourages Aussies to buy local and source Australian products.
All right. Well, we're here with Ranger Nick. He's a bit of a legend in these parts, and I'm really excited to get to know more about how you got into what you're doing. You're out there doing a tour, camp cooking, and what other kind of stuff are you doing?
No, top of the day to you, but I'm just on tour at the moment. We've started in Dayborough, in around Brisbane here, and went all the way up to Cairns Mossman, and then back down to Mount Gravatt, and I'm just gearing up, getting ready to head out to Mungandai. So that'll finish this run, and then once I get home, I'll get things organised and head out into the desert, head out to Winton.
Oh, wow. Big trip.
Some big trips. Another one down to Victoria later in the year. There's still a few to come, still a bit of driving to do, but
awesome.
Plenty to see.
Yeah. Well, let's open it up and give you the floor and let us included, let our audience know, but us included,
bit of the history of Ranger Nick. So, you know, a bit of your background growing up and how you ended up getting into sort of the bush cooking and doing these tours and demonstrations for people.
Yeah, well, I guess I should start at the start. And I'm the baby of 10, so I'm the youngest out of 9 or 10 siblings.
Wow.
And the scrapings from the pot, if you wish. But, yeah, quite a large family. Was sort of born and raised around, I won't say growing up because I haven't done that yet, but born and raised around southwest Queensland, around little town of Miles. So if you ever go through Miles, make sure you pull up and have a look at the museum there. It's pretty good, the Hysterical Society. So quite a good bus. It's rated in the top 10 in Australia, so it's worth a look. There's a little,
oh, wow.
There's a bit going on in Miles these days.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess I've never been that studious. You might have worked that out already, but always had, I don't know, no love for the indoors, no love for school and being told what to do and authority when up until I was aged 5 or 6 and had to go to school. I had a pretty free reign with 6 sisters, Auntie June across the road. Mum and Dad were always kept pretty busy. But you just seemed to get palmed from one to the next, so you never got in trouble as such. It was just, I'll go and see Marion, or Monica's calling you. I can hear your mother. She wants you for something. So, yeah. But if you heard, Nicholas, well, then you didn't come home. That wasn't, no. I'd done something wrong when that happened.
Yeah.
So basically, due to my love of school, and the brother next up from me, he's 5 years older than me, Smelvin, him and I think the only thing we had in common when we were young is that we didn't like school and we were always looking for ways to get out of it. So one day he actually ate a tube of toothpaste, see? So he got to school with this horrible guts ache from eating this tube of toothpaste. He said, oh, miss, he said, you're going to have to send me home today. And she's kind of waking up to us a bit and she's gone, well, I'm not even dealing with it today. She said, you can just take yourself up to the principal's office and explain yourself to him. So just before lunchtime, I'm doing my daily trek up to the office and here's me brother Smelvin leaning against the wall. He's got his arms folded, leaning back on the wall there, and he had his pants down to his knees. I said, oh, gee, Smell, you're pushing your luck today, mate, aren't you? He said, no. He said, I spoke to the principal. He told me if I could stick it out till lunchtime, he'd let me go home. So that's the sort of things that my brother and I used to get into, or out of, actually. But, yeah. So it was all a bit of fun to be had, I guess. But nevertheless, because I spent a lot of time on the outside looking in at school, I ended up a labourer. So by the time I was 16, I'd finished year 11 and, was kind of ushered off to work. I won't share the reasons as to why, but I was
like coal mine age
work.
right there.
Yeah, I was off I went and, just a labourer. I ended up with a young family, started around about 22, got married and all that. And
nice, good on you.
By the time, great, how do you going, that was. But, but by the time I was 28, 30, I got crushed under a ton of steel. So a bloke that was 120 kilos without an ounce of fat and loved his motocross and bull riding and pub brawling and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I kind of had to give it all away because I couldn't walk for 10 months. So I went from 120 kilos to about 67 kilos.
Whoa.
In that 10-month period. And I don't think I've ever really recovered from that because I've never even got close to being over 100 kilos again unless I'm overweight. So,
yeah. Was that just all muscle? Were you just like a big, footballer?
Big boy, big strong bugger, hold a bull out to pee, Isaac. Yeah. Scared of no man and very few women.
Strength and all strength and no speed.
Built like in Australia we say built like a brick shit house.
Absolutely, built like a brick shit house. That's right. And look, it was probably the hardest work I've ever done was making the decision. I decided, well, I can't keep labouring, so I'll take myself back to school. So whilst trying to raise a family and a few, a bit of stress in the marriage and stuff like that, I ended up going back to TAFE in far north Queensland. I didn't even really know what I was signing up for, to be honest with you, but I had to do something. And using my brain was probably the hardest work I've ever done in my life. So I learnt to read and write a bit better and did a, what was it called? Heritage Interpretive Tourism, and handed me first assignment in at 30 years of age. How's that?
Wow.
How do you go all the way through high school just about without, I handed assignments in, but there'd be 5 different types of handwriting. They weren't my assignments. It'd be much easier today with typing and everything. I could have got away with it. But not real bright, I suppose, but I could lift heavy things. So,
that's good. You're useful.
So basically, that's what happened to me there. So I went and studied HIT and Aboriginal Torres Strait culture and several different things that for the tourist industry that complemented the tourist industry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like cultural studies and things like that.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. The law concerning around if something happens and you got a group of people, blah, blah, blah. It's quite interesting, a lot of the information. But fortunately, because I wasn't a strong reader and the staff, the teachers, coordinators, they were really, really good, actually, because they steered me toward audio tapes and video tapes and stuff like that. So rather than having to read through it all, I could just listen to it. So having 3 daughters, I guess I got good at listening. 6 sisters and 3 daughters. How's that? And a mother as well.
Yeah. Yep, your ears are tuned.
Yeah. So basically I went and did all of that and got into tourism. I worked for several tour companies and it was just nice to get paid to do something I like to do rather than have to drag myself out of bed and labour all day in a job that I didn't really want to be there, you know. I was happy to do it. Like, I was big and strong, didn't worry me, but yeah, just looking back, I'm thinking, every morning I go, I'll get up and go to work, 4:00, make a sandwich, all the rest of it. So it was kind of nice to be able to jump out of bed and real keen to go to work and meet different people, and the whole world was coming to me. Like, I'd never left the country by that stage, apart from only furthest overseas I'd been with Bribie Island, which I think you're up there
for
that now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't real keen on that sort of stuff. The learning part of it was a lot of hard work, but I got through it and it went really well. So
what kind of tours were you doing?
Helped me a lot.
So where were you at this point? And like what?
Far north Queensland in Cairns, and I actually ended up landing a job at Skyrail International Tourism Management. So if you're ever up in far north Queensland, it's certainly worth the, Skyrail and scenic train. It's certainly worth a bit of a belt round that. It's absolutely beautiful, and the more you're in it, the more you realise how little you actually know. The more you learn, the more you realise how dumb you are, like. but just an amazing place. So from there, I had what would you call it, a course of unfortunate events, and I ended up coming back to my little hometown of Miles, and I ended up raising 3 girls on my own, or at least 2 for the majority. So the youngest was around 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, look, it was a real highlight in my life, although it was hard work, and I had a few, what would you call it, mental issues, bit of depression, stuff like that, sorting out all the junk.
Sure.
Yeah.
The girls were pretty good in all. I have to say they were pretty good. So got through all of that, and basically I ended up working. I ended up working several different jobs until I was offered a position with Education Queensland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so first of all, I did a bit with the high school in the first year, and then I did close to 10 years after that with the Columbulla Environmental Education Centre. So it's a outdoor rec and environmental ed. Just loved it. I was one of 2 unit support officers in Queensland that actually got to work with the kids, so it was it was a whole lot of fun, you know, high ropes, canoeing, abseiling, all this sort of stuff, archery, navigation,
Oh, that's
trust
awesome.
activities, all that sort of thing. It was just way fun. And I was seeing people, these kids from all over Queensland, thousands of them every year. It was just, they were really good fun and good to work with. So one day I got a phone call, I guess, from, well, I won't mention too many names. I probably shouldn't do that, but I got a phone call from the gentleman whose children had been out to the camp, and he said, "Oh, I'm hearing that you do a bit of camp oven cooking around the campfire of an evening." I said, "Yeah." I said, "We chuck the odd stew on and roast and make dampers with the kids." And he said, "Well, would you be interested in doing some camp oven cooking demonstrations for me at these events I hold all over Queensland?" And I said, "Yeah, mate, if you're stupid enough to put me in amongst the general public, I'll have a crack at it." So that's where I kicked off in 2010. And since then, well, holy heck, the accolades, the offsider, she's just fantastic. I wouldn't even be able to sit here and do this today if it wasn't for her. So I'm hopeless with computers and things. I'd rather a hammer and a shovel, you know.
Right.
Or these days, hydraulics. I prefer to sit on the tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, without out of that, it wouldn't happen. So she's really achieved a lot for the business and my hopefully good name, good reputation. So things like we've published 4 books now, 4 recipe books. There's yarns and poems and things like that in some of them, and 3 Australian Business Awards, an Olympic world record for the longest damper.
The longest damper. What's a damper?
You don't know what damper is?
Like a dough.
Isaac?
It's very Aussie.
No idea.
Just like a dough, like
an
a bread that you
iconic-
make, but you just make it by the campfire. It's super easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically it's an iconic Australian bread. And, 14 years, this is the first time it's happened. In 14 years, I asked the question to a group of Aussies mostly. That's what I mostly see in front of me. Why is damper called damper? No one's been able to answer it. But the other day in Mossman, there was an old chap said he got it right. First person in 14 years. That's pretty sad.
I don't even know the answer. I learned how to make damper in school, like in primary school. I remember, it was like the celebration of the, what's it called? The Federation of Australia, like when Australia became a nation or whatever, 1901. And I think it must have been 2001. And we were celebrating the 200 years. And we did like this whole day of like, we dressed up in like the old times. And one of the activities for the day was making damper by the campfire. But I don't even know why it's called damper.
Well, there you go. See, this is what breaks my heart. The damper's called damper because we damper the fire before we bake. So if we put food or the baking into a roaring flame, it's going to be too hot. So we get the temperature right and then we bake, and it's called dampering the fire.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
It is, and it's that simple. And it's been such a well-known part of our history or iconic bread in Australia for 250 odd years.
Mm.
And why might that be?
I don't know. Why is that?
Years?
Well, we were just always taught because, like,
I thought Australia was founded like 50 years ago.
yeah, we were just always taught that it was like, like back in the day when it was just kind of like, just rationed food and stuff like that. You always had flour and water, and it was just like super easy to make.
You're pretty right on it there, girl. So there wasn't a lot of food in Australia, or so we first thought. Now we're learning that there's a lot more. I'm working with that at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically with low food supplies, a damper, and even today you'll still see people put bread and butter on the table just to make meals go further and fill bellies. And basically that's why it's become such an iconic bread in Australia. And how easy to make. It's only glue. Flour, salt, water, chuck it in the coals, you got yourself a bread.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how many different cultures are, like their bread shows kind of how unique their cultures are. Like, I love the Malawi. That's one of the Yemeni breads that I'm just enraptured with. And then my people from Mexico, the tortillas were I'm getting pretty good at making tortillas.
I like tortillas.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even your recipes. So, and we'll probably share a bit more in the intro, but, obviously we met you through the markets buying your amazing spice mixes, which we absolutely love. And each of them comes with a recipe. And even your flatbread recipe in one of them is just so super easy.
I like easy. I keep telling people I'm the laziest cook you'll ever wish to meet. If you can show me an easier way to cook around the campfire, please share your knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather be down fishing with me mates than stuck in the kitchen all weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did I guess I can imagine you had 6 sisters, your mom, you probably picked up a bit of cooking just being around them, and being a big guy, you like to eat like me. Like I work out a lot. I like good food. I like to eat high protein, all that. Did you pick up your kitchen skills that way, or do you feel like you kind of just have a knack for it that you just have?
There was certainly an influence. You learnt to cook from a young age. You kind of had to fend for yourself a bit at times, but certainly the cooks in the house, amazing cooks. My mum was an incredible lady. She was a self-taught seamstress and cake decorator, so her food I'll make something out of nothing. The old man always put a fair feed together, but it'd be something like fritters or rissoles or puffaloonies or something like that, and you got a stack of them. Like there was a big mound of these things. You didn't just get it for one feed; you got it for 3 days.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Or a big stew. Dad could cook great rissoles and stew. I don't know how or what, but he always did a good job of that. And you got plenty to eat. And when he always used to dub himself chief cook and bottle washer.
Yeah.
His mum happened to go away, but yeah, certainly food and influence, and the things that mum used to do with cakes was just incredible. So, and all self-taught. I really have to I find that very remarkable. Like these days, you have to go and do a course and get a bit of paper for accreditation and all that sort of thing, where back then you just shared a bit of knowledge with the neighbour and away you went,
Exactly. Just did it.
And back then you had to actually have that connection with the people. Here you can YouTube it. You can go online and learn about anything. But back then it was, imagine it was a bit more difficult to get the information.
Well, it was more a done thing too, though, Isaac. And we never had TV and all that sort of stuff. And I guess you didn't keep making kids. You got in and did a bit of stuff with your hands. Taught your daughters how to crochet or knit and stitch on a button and ice a cake and all that sort of thing. I think that was knowledge that was a what would you call it? Family entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I grew up, like we always say we're that mid generation where we kind of got a bit of the old ways, but then like technology was kind of introduced. Like by the time I finished high school, like, everyone had the internet, Wi-Fi, it wasn't the dial-up anymore. And, then smartphones came out. But like growing up, my grandma taught me how to knit, with the knitting needles and all those kinds of things. I was taught how to sew on a sewing machine by my mum's auntie and like all those old things. And unfortunately, I didn't continue with them. And then, what's the saying? If you don't use it, you lose it. And unfortunately, kids these days just don't really learn those skills because they're just all online now.
Well, it's not even taught at school. Like you don't have home economics and things like that like we used to at school. Like,
Yeah.
So, but sounds like you got a bit of a keeper there, Isaac. At least you'll have a go. But if you like riding the bike, girl, you just got to get back on it.
Yeah, I do. I actually bought a sewing machine a few years ago and I was like, I just need to learn again. So I've had a bit of a play. It took me ages to even figure out how to thread the bloody thing again because it's so, it goes every which way. But I just got to get back into it. I know it'll come back to me once I start doing it again.
Yeah, run over your finger with it a few times and it'll all come flooding back.
Exactly.
That's a quick way to learn. That's right.
Exactly. But I wanted to ask you, Nick, with the spice kits that you do now, was that kind of a natural evolution of the bush cooking? Was that just like a kind of like a staple for you? Or was it something that you kind of grew into and just loved and then you started doing the kits?
Oh, well, I like good food all around. I certainly like good quality food. I try and produce as much of my own as I can, but the curry kit's one of those things that evolved from the 5-letter C word, actually. So during that, you know what I'm talking about when I say the 5-letter C word, don't you?
I'm assuming it's, is it curry or?
COVID.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Right. That
All
5-letter C word. Yeah.
Much more palatable these days. But, yeah, so during that 5-letter C word period, entertainment just hit a wall. So for 3 years, I had no income. I went without for 3 years.
Yeah.
So what floated us through is we found this little grandma's cookbook at the back of the bookshelf, because I've got bookshelves just full of recipe books. I'm always looking for something to play with, you know. So I got that out and we started cooking these curries. And one night we're sitting at the dinner table and I've looked at Yuta and I said, Christ, this is good. I said, geez, that's good food. I said, these are beautiful curries. And she said, we packet them and take them to the markets. And I said, I think we should. So that floated us through the 5-letter C word period. And as today, sometimes we're sitting down for 4 days just making up spice kits. So it's proving to be quite popular. We're almost at the end of a tour. We've got one more gig to do in Mungandai. We did have 2, but it got cancelled. But yeah, look, hopefully we'll have sold out of it all and we've got to sit down for another 4 or 5 days and make more spice kits when we get home. So
yeah, they're amazing.
I guess the outside of that is I'm looking forward to it becoming too much for us to do so that we have to outsource it. Because I'm putting stickers.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's going quite well. They're proving to be popular and a lot of repeat customers. When we go, like we travel from one end of Australia to the other, and when we do, you always get a few people that come and say, when you were here last year, we got such and such. Well, you can order them online, currykits.com.au. There's 30 blends. Oh, yeah, but we'd rather you buy them off you. So when they show up, you get all these people come and buy, a dozen or so different curry kits. So it's really good that they come and stock up and chew the fat and give you some positive feedback. So
yeah, we can definitely vouch for that. Like I was actually blown away the first couple that we bought, and we tried. We got one for like red meat, one for chicken, and then we were just blown away, weren't we? So full of flavor. And I've never been one for like. I actually said it the other day, like, the choice of restaurants to go out for dinner. I never really pick Indian. And I think because in Australia, it's become very westernized and it doesn't, like for me, it never really tastes like you never eat Indian food and go, oh, that was amazing. It's just very, generic and it all kind of tastes the same. And my parents actually traveled to India, about a decade ago now. And they said the Indian food over there is like, it doesn't even compare to the Indian food here. And because it's so like the spices and everything, it's so fresh. And that's what I find with your kits. It's like, doesn't even compare to like anything that I've had before because the spices, and it literally just comes all like the mix of whatever fresh spices. And then you like, you fry it up in the pan. You can just smell it. It makes the whole house smell. It's just, they're amazing. I literally can't, listen to me. I'm raving.
That's good. I like raving fans. They spend money. But look, you're 100% right. I find a lot of restaurants, if and when I do visit them, are quite generic these days. And I do understand that they're trying to take shortcuts. They need to put food on the table. They haven't got whinging customers. So many different reasons. Cutting costs just to make money, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I do believe if you've got a good product, it's going to sell itself. Like if it's, especially when it comes to food. Why the heck people keep going back to McDonald's? And it looked as far. You might be a McDonald's lover and fan and all the rest of it, but let me tell you right now, that's not food. I've never had a barbecue or anything thrown on a griddle plate that smells anything like that. It smells more like a rendering shed to me than a
exactly
than a barbecue. Absolutely terrible food, and I'll openly say that because that's what I strongly believe. I do believe, especially during now, you got me wound up. I'm all in a flat. So, especially during this 5-letter C word period when a lot of top-notch restaurants were being closed down, and
Yeah.
the like of McDonald's and other fast food outlets were deemed essential.
Yeah.
All I got to say about that is, if the Australian government and Australian health were genuinely concerned about people's health, then that would have been one of the first things they closed down and told you to go home and make yourself a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Had nothing to do with health. It was pretty obvious when they started
Anyway.
giving away free donuts that they weren't really that concerned with your health.
Yeah.
And the bottle shops, that was it was like everything was closed, but fast food was essential. Bottle shops were still allowed to be open. So you could get your alcohol, you could get your booze and your fast food. And, you know, I think chemists were still, they were essential. So you could get all your drugs and your vaccines, but, you know, everything else, couldn't go to health food stores. They were closed. Couldn't go to your fruit and veg market. They were closed. Like, ridiculous.
Absolutely, and it goes on so far. You couldn't even go to church; it was closed. Since when did church have a closed door?
Exactly.
But, just crazy stuff going on. You know, I can't say I'm the best Christian that roams the globe, but I'm not ignorant to the good book either. Yeah. But look, a lot of it just did my head in with all of that. Day-to-day life these days really gets on top of me. Sometimes I sort of got to go out and smell the roses, if you will, just get a breath of fresh air, just walk through the trees and defrag.
Absolutely.
So, it just does my head in with the poor quality of food that's available to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, it's kind of indicative of the culture and stuff. And I think it's going to take a lot of work and focus to just stay positive and keep creating the things that we want to see more of and keep connecting with other people like us that are entrepreneurial business owners. We're the ones that are the starters who are going to, hopefully affect the culture and the community around us, because the mainstream, all the, the fast food joints and all the typical lifestyle, the common stuff, the masses, so to speak, like that's not for us. But I don't know, it takes a little bit of spice in a dish to flavor the whole thing. So I think a few of us that are like the good spice are really, really important right now.
Absolutely. And look, I got to say, all those spices, things like, garlic, ginger, chili, turmeric, I could go on and on. You know what I'm talking about. So good for your body, so good for your immune system. Just, fantastic. But your body, nature, everything, when you consider it wasn't really that long ago, there were certain vegetables and fruits that you could only buy at seasonal times. Well, the creator, and however you choose to interpret where or what the heck's going on in this world, I'm just going to say the creator did all those things for a reason.
Yeah.
We eat watermelon when? It's ripe in summer. It's full of water. When are we going to need the most water?
Yeah.
And energy from the sugars which are in it. So to me, it's a no-brainer. The seasonal vegetables shouldn't be eaten all year to have a balanced and healthy diet.
Yeah.
However, it is nice that we can get our hands on some of those fresh fruit and vegetables from time to time. I try to produce as much of my own food as I can. I use all organic type growing, and the goats really love it, and I don't get a lot of it, but nevertheless, they're quick. But what was I saying? Yeah, look, all of those things I think is very important for a healthy body, like healing your body with the foods you eat, things like that. There's several people I've listened to over the year, one in particular, but he spoke about healing your body with the food you eat and food having hidden messages. I don't know if you've ever experienced that field.
We can dig into that a little bit.
Please elaborate.
Okay, all right. Well, the best place to start, I guess, is in the mind. So we know that omega-3 is very good for our brain, yes, and things like fish and different oils, omega-3 oils, or where they come from, have a big influence on that. So the largest form of omega-3 we find in a walnut. Let's have a look at the walnut. It's got a cranium. When you crack it open, it's got two sides to it, and they look just like
a brain.
Absolutely. There's a hidden message there straight away. So these are the types of things that he was saying about. I can do a few more. I guess a sweet potato. Sweet
What's
potato
that one
looks
got?
much like a pancreas.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Ah, righto. Well, there's a hidden message right there. So, for example, one of my brothers, he was reliant on insulin. So he used to have to take blood tests, stab himself in the belly with a needle every morning, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So when he was living with one of his daughters for a while, they put sweet potato into his diet for 2 serves a day for about 12 months, and he became not dependent on the insulin. Still a diabetic,
Wow.
No
but not
way.
dependent on the insulin. So
That's
the
incredible.
way I see it, if you know anyone that's a diabetic, put them onto that little tip. It's food. Food's good for you. I've been eating it all my life. It hadn't killed me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no side
yeah,
effects to that.
it's not going to do them any harm, not like a pharmaceutical drug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't give you
side
the
effect
immediate
to
effect.
healthy eating is
Yeah.
good health.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want everything to be instant these days, but it's more about what those little things you do consistently
Consistent,
every
yeah.
day that make up more of who you are.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the walnut thing because we learned that. I studied holistic nutrition years ago now, but and we learned like the things that we're like how to remember because obviously you have to like remember things for tests and stuff, and that's like the walnut. It's like it looks like a brain, so you know that it's good for the brain. And now what we know, what I've learned since leaving uni is all the organ meats. Like that's the easiest way to know what's good for what is like if you eat liver, if you eat cow liver, it's good for your liver. If you eat the spleen, it's good for your spleen. If you eat the brain, it's good for your brain. So super, and that's what I love about when you get back to how we're actually meant to live, how to come back to how we're meant to be healthy. It's so simple. It's really simple.
Absolutely, but we complicate the heck out of it. Look at
Yeah,
day-to-day life.
exactly.
We're all out there trying to make money, trying to make ends meet, whatever it is. It's chaos out there. By the heck, I can't wait to get out of this Gold Coast area. Whenever I go to drive somewhere, it's so stressful. There's so much traffic. You can't just get in and drive there. You're waiting in traffic.
Yeah.
Got all these prawns swearing at you, tooting the horn,
Yeah.
giving you these 2-finger waves,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was just a bunch of hippies when I moved here. Everyone's going like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, buddy. Peace, bro.
So I don't cope well in it. I'm used to out on the open road, I guess. But, I try and avoid cities and the likes. But, amazing what sort of things you can get out of foods. And as I said, I do try to produce as much of the food as I can myself at home. On the road, well, I tend to find or try to find farmers markets or car boot, someone selling it out of their garden at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice.
No, I don't know exactly how it's grown, but I know that there's organics involved. So if I give it a good wash or whichever or blanch, it will take much chemicals away from it if they happen to use them.
Yeah.
I don't use chemicals at all at home. And yes, I lose some of my yield, but I'm happy to lose 20% of my yield and not eat chemicals than, have 100% and end up sick anyway,
Exactly.
Well, that's one of those perspective things that I think is very powerful is when you let go of that fear and that lack of like, oh, the bugs and the birds are going to get some of it. It's like plant more or, you get a little bit less, but it's just like, why would you poison yourself and nature just to hold on to like you're going to lose if you lose 20%?
Absolutely. I don't mind losing that 20%. And there are techniques you can use. For example, this is a really quick and easy one. And my sister said to me, oh, bollocks. I said, no, give it a try. And then she started telling her mates and she said to me, they all said, oh, bollocks. But she said it works. So with the cabbage moth, I don't know if you notice around, especially in winter, you've got cabbage, broccoli, all that sort of stuff growing in your garden. Okay. And those white moths that get around, the white cabbage moth or butterfly, if you will, annihilate it. Just quickly they lay eggs and fill them with grub. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
But if you shove sticks in the ground all around the garden and put half an eggshell on top of it, you'll still notice that the insects are there, but you get a very few of them, and they don't seem to settle and land. I
Oh,
believe it's because
interesting.
they've got some sort of territorial thing going on. If there's one butterfly there, they don't bother landing there. I'm not sure why, but I certainly keep a lot of the insect control down with simple things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great tip.
Why do you think so? It's eggshell on a stick, like balancing like that.
Yeah.
How'd you figure that one out? You just tried it?
No, an old fella said to me, "Listen to your elders, Isaac." An old fella said it to me one day, and he used to say, it wasn't long after I was married, probably 22, 23, and I had a beautiful garden in Pittsworth. I was actually the curator at the museum, which is another great museum, by the way. And yeah, I had about 40 squares. It was all black soil, and I used to shovel quail shit from this game bird place out the road. So every Saturday morning, I'd go and shovel 5 ton of quail shit, and I'd bring some of that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and
it's a good humble job.
One of the best fertilizers, because chicken manure will actually still have a lot of undigested food in it, so it's quite hot, and it tends to burn the plants. Where quails break things down much more, so they put on weight quicker and grow better and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right.
And their poo is much better for the garden. It breaks down much faster. Okay. So the old fella over the back, he used to say to me, "You should have been a market gardener." He said, "You grow beautiful vegetables. Where he's growing tomatoes this big, I'm growing tomatoes this big." And he could just never get over it, you know.
It was the quail shit, yeah.
But it's all in the preparation, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's so many handy tips.
Produces piss poor performance. It's that simple, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many. I've heard so many handy gardening tips from. Again, it's just like learning from other people. It's nothing I've read in a book or, like looked up even, because you can look things up, but I find a lot of those things like don't always work. But it's the people that have actually done it, and it's like usually the simplest stuff. Something actually that just came up on my Instagram feed the other day, and I've heard this from I've heard it from a lot of places now. The simplest, easiest, what's it called? Like bug repellent or whatever for your garden and in your, like anything you're growing. It's literally just vinegar. Actually, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's just vinegar, a little bit of bicarb soda, and a drop of dish soap. You mix it all up and you just spray it on your garden. Done. That's all you need.
Absolutely. Or you go to the trouble, and much like our own body, a garden bed is not that much different to our own body. If you supply the niches, it has a healthy growth. You don't get diseases, you don't get insects, you don't get bites.
Yeah.
So if you grow your garden and supply all the niches that it needs, a healthy garden, insects are more drawn to weak plants, not healthy plants. And the same as what's a good example? Cancer, multiple sclerosis, all of those things don't generally grow in a healthy environment. They need a niche to grow in. And basically acid is probably one of the biggest things, and it comes through stress and different foods that we eat. So if you have an alkaline body, we're learning more and more about alkaline. And, if you have an alkaline body, then basically disease can't grow. It can't thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, going back to, you brought up McDonald's before, all those fast foods, all those fried foods, all the seed oils, they're so highly acidic to the body, all the soft drinks, all that stuff. And so you can see when, that's kind of I know in America, they call that like the standard American diet, which is like lots of fast food, lots of processed food.
You wouldn't believe it, but I have a big book because I used to train military. There's a book is like how to train like a Navy SEAL, right? It's written from like the official Navy SEALs. There's page after page in there about what McDonald's meal is best for like an ultra distance run and all this other garbage.
No way.
Navy SEALs cannot be training with that kind of crap nutrition. That just doesn't make any sense.
Wonder who paid for that book.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, and I need to point this out before we go too much further down this rabbit hole, I'm not a doctor. And these days I'm not even a ranger, but I Ranger Nick's a title we come up with because it sounded better than Uncle Nick. It might be a bit perceived as a thing. So basically rain connectors is I needed a name, I needed it now, and that's what I got. So, yeah, I'm certainly not a doctor. So you speak to your physician. If you've got trouble with your health, I'm not the person to turn to. I'm having enough trouble with my own as I get older. I'm got bits and pieces falling off and bits growing on, and hair where I shouldn't have hair growing. Anyway, you're hearing what I'm saying there. Just to cover my bum, I'm not a doctor, so don't point the finger at me if you eat healthy and get well because of it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just got a helicopter flying overhead. We're near the bush, but we're still kind of in civilization. But we're all on the road this recording.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to get a little more into it because I know when we first met you, which is going back like 3 or 4 months now, it was around the time the Bovea thing came out. So for anyone that's been living under a rock listening and hasn't heard of that, it's the stuff that they started putting in cattle feed to stop them farting, basically to stop the methane emissions. And we got into a big conversation about that because obviously it's all synthetic. It's probably something genetically modified, and it's literally genetically modifying the cows that are eating it. And when we got to talking about that, you actually know a lot about a lot of the farming practices and things, which makes sense too, because, you're doing things very differently. So I'd love for you to shed any light on, just what they're doing, not just with the Bovea stuff, because obviously that's very new, but even just what they're doing. Because, like you said, you like to grow things organically, and we're the same, especially when it comes to meat now. Everything's just pumped with vaccines and hormones and antibiotics and all this stuff. And again, you look at the state of health of people, and when they're eating these foods, like what's that doing to their body?
Yeah, well, I'm only talking to you about things that I see firsthand, and being a country boy, I've been exposed to it and the different farming and the practices and how they've changed and all that sort of thing. And well, I'm not sure whether to start with meat or fresh produce, but it seems you brought the meat up. It seems quite simple to me. It seems very simple to me. If anything's got their natural diet in their natural surroundings and all the rest of it, then that's going to be a healthier animal because it's getting what it wants, and when it needs it. So if we go and take cattle or pigs, for example, I often say the pigs that I catch out of the paddock, the feral pigs, are so much better to eat than what you can grow. And it's a lot to do with the fact that pigs are omnivores. They eat carrion, they eat practically anything. They're just unbelievable what they'll devour. Yeah. But they're omnivores. So they eat a balanced diet of several different things, much like you and I. Yeah. If we just ate Mars bars all day, especially if they were filled with hormones so they don't get sick and antibiotics so that they don't get sick and they grow and all the rest of it, in record time to produce and meet the market and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Basically, when it comes time to slaughter that animal is very unhealthy. So what you're eating is a sick beast, and bovine is no different. If you watch a cow, yes, it will eat grain, but it eats fodder. Its main diet is fodder, and if there's grain and seed in amongst that fodder, then yes, of course they'll devour it. But they don't just eat grain and then have to be supplemented with 5-in-1 vaccines, with all these different, treatments on the market to make your beef grow better and all that sort of stuff. I don't care how long it takes the beef to grow, but the grazing animals that I eat at home, you can't buy meat like that from the shop. The flavour is so much better. I feel better for eating it. Yeah. So, they're my little things about meat at least. Now, do you want me to go on to fresh produce?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, what's going on with the produce?
I actually did a bit for all on this one with Good News Week or something like that she does on the thing, or the Total Truth show. So I did a spiel for her on exactly this subject, and a lot of this, I was unaware a lot of it myself exactly as to what was going on. I know that if I grow my vegetables organically, they taste better. I get more insects, but I get a much better produce at the end of the day. Yeah. So basically back in the 1950s-ish, we were seeing a lot of poor farming practices where we weren't spelling paddocks, we weren't doing alternative crops, we weren't putting anything back. So basically, all the PEDs, do you understand what a PED is in the soil?
No.
PEDs are basically the size of the grains which make up compositions of soils. So if you've got very fine PEDs, you've got like bull dust. You've got something that'll blow away. It won't hold water, things like that. Yeah.
Right.
So the finer the PEDs, and of course the coarser the PEDs. But if you get a balance with the soil, and you've got, you can work that soil, but you have to put back. If you keep breaking it up, it will break all the PEDs up and turn to dust. So basically, this is what was happening with poor farming practices around 1950. Those areas were declared barren wasteland.
Right.
But in the 1960s, with the production of all these different chemicals that we were playing with and using, a lot of the byproducts from those chemicals were getting thrown into the barren wasteland. And over time, they were going, hang on, there's green out there. Things are starting to grow again where we dumped all these chemicals. So they're realizing that things like nitrophosica, urea, all that type of thing that they were dumping as a byproduct would actually fertilize the plants. And for some reason today we can't farm without it. It's a very essential part of farming, and even petroleum, to have the AdBlue in the trucks and all that sort of stuff to break down emissions and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So as a result of this, what you've got is soil which has no nutritional or medicinal value.
Yeah.
Or more so, what it produces has less of that.
Yeah.
So, and this is because it's just dead earth. It's just you might as well be trying to grow stuff in cotton wool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there's a connection between our stomach, or the healthy biobes or biotics and microbes that live in our stomach are the same microbes which live in healthy soil.
Oh, right.
So here's a connection right here. We over-farm or we over-fertilize and we get rid of those things. Yes, the plants will grow. Yes, they'll grow a few. No, they don't have much taste, and they have very little nutritional or medicinal value. So anything you can grow from organics, especially if it's heirloom seed or heritage seed, then you're going to get much better quality food.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I know, again, going back to my studies and when I was studying nutrition, we talk a lot about the soil health, because that makes such a huge difference. And unfortunately, what happens, because so much of our food is factory farmed, it's just they use the same crops over and over and over again. And when you do that and you're just planting the same foods, it depletes the soil, because you're not. So the best way, from what I've learned, the best way to grow your crops is to grow them seasonally. And then what happens is, whatever you're as you're changing what you're growing, it actually helps to then put sort of it's what's that word? Symbiotic. It's very symbiotic in the way that it then feeds the soil back. But then in the factory farming, when they just, it's a crop of whatever it is, lettuce, and it's just lettuce growing and lettuce. And, then you add in all the chemicals and stuff. And that's why you look at today's population. What is it, Isaac? Something like 60% of the population are magnesium deficient, because we're meant to get that mineral from the soil. And it's so depleted now that we're unable to consume it through our food.
Well, correct. And our body can't consume the vitamins and minerals in food if there's no magnesium.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite an amazing cycle, and it's a very important one we seem to have broken. So, look, even simple things like glyphosate, which we've been led to believe is quite a harmless chemical to spray to get rid of all the weeds around your garden. There's billions of tons a year of that stuff released into the environment, and it all ends up in water courses or, that's just what happens with that sort of thing. So what I didn't know about that, I was actually watching on After School on YouTube. It was After School SKOOL about chemical farming. So it was quite interesting. And one of the first things that come up in that little skit was that glyphosate, which is more commonly known, I guess, as Roundup.
Yeah.
Glyphosate was first produced as an antibiotic.
Oh, wow.
So it's literally killing biotics in the soil and sterilising the soil.
That's terrible.
But there's hardly a garden shed in Australia or around the world, actually, that doesn't have that in their stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that's like I'll underline what you said about the microbes in the stomach, like the microbes in the soil feed the plant, because there's a method of farming, they call it like Korean natural farming, I think. And the philosophy behind that is very simple. You feed the microbes, and the microbes feed the plant. So the whole thing about fertilizing, you're not fertilizing for the plant. You're actually adding stuff that the microbes will eat, and then they will metabolize it and then produce what the plant needs. And if you kill the microbes, obviously that's going to affect the plants because that's how it works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're even seeing a lot of that starting to be introduced into pastoral, bettering pastoral land as well. So, and what that's going to do is give you less weeds, less parasites, and your stock and all are going to be so much better for it. Like where I am, the soil's quite poor. It's very sandy, loamy type soil. It grows a lot of blady grass and cooch. So there's a classic example to poor soil quality. So one of the things I'm trying to do is introduce a winter crop that I can just throw out, things like radish, oat, stuff like that will grow through winter and create high legume humus, so that the humus is getting back to the soil. So each year it's being replenished, not just by the cow manure, but also by natural decomposition.
Yeah.
So the whole world is much like a recycling plant. You look at rainforests, they grow on granite rock. And without the continuous fall of leaves, branches, and decomposition, then there's no way that those rainforests could flourish and grow like they do. But they've been doing it for billions of years quite successfully without the interference of man.
Yeah.
As soon as man interferes, we seem to make a mess of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're smart, right?
Have you gotten into doing any kind of like fermentations and things for your plants, like different compost teas and things like that?
I can't say I've done a lot of that apart from just with manure and or eggshells.
Yeah, eggshells
are
great.
Bit smelly, the eggshells and that, but really good to water your garden with those fluids and that break down from all that. They're very high in microbes. I guess it's a bit like putting probiotics into your body. It's going to do your stomach health the world of good.
Yeah. What do you do with the eggshells? You just put it in water and like...
Yeah, just let them decompose in the water. They'll get quite, well, you know what rotten egg smells like. Most people have experienced that. So not the most pleasant smell around the place, but really good. A lot of ladies use it for their roses, and anything that breaks down into that calcium powder, they'll put over the roses and keep a lot of the aphids away and things like that. So.
Yeah, such simple stuff. And we have no shortage of eggshells in our house because Isaac just goes through them at home. He loves eating eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Wild,
like
free range, unvaccinated.
They are very versatile. You can do a lot with them. And the chicken them a useful bird, a little boy once said, because you can eat him before he's born and after he am dead.
Very useful bird. Yeah, very grateful to
I love it.
The creator for putting them on the planet.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting something Isaac just said about the way that you feed the soil and feed the microbes. And I love that connection you made, Nick, about how it's, you know, everything's you know, the macrocosm and the microcosm. And so we can always look at, you know, ourselves as like a microcosm of, you know, the greater, the earth and how things work. And you see it in the way things are grown, because what Isaac just said reminded me of a conversation we had recently on the podcast where we were talking about mental health and stuff, and, you know, the false claim that it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, which we now know it's absolute rubbish. And what I actually learned in my studies studying nutrition is that what they've actually found probably in the last like 10 to 20 years in research is that most of those chemicals, the hormones, the feel-good hormones, serotonin, and I think dopamine, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, oxytocin, they're actually created by the gut bacteria in the gut. So the health of your gut is much more important and much more relevant to mental health than what's going on in your brain. And it's that same thing. It's like how you grow the food. Like, you need to nourish it. You need to feed it things that are going to feed the microbes, the bacteria, the right things, and they're going to kind of do all the work. So I just made that connection now. And I love that idea of like, just when you're growing food, look at what you do with your own body and vice versa.
Be conscious with what you put in this hole.
Yeah.
And look, I'm certainly not a saint. I break down every now and then. I can't eat a piece of chocolate. I've got to eat the whole block. So that's not, you know, but sugar is one of the worst things to consume. It's just terrible what it's done to Indigenous communities around the world, especially.
Yeah.
But how it's affecting everyday people every day now, it's just incredible. There's a lot of obesity in young age. And I'd just like to touch on getting back to what we were talking about with how food should be produced and all the rest of it. We do have to consider that there's a whole industry out there, and we've certainly opened a can of worms. There'll be a lot of, if there's any farmers listening to me out there at the moment, they're going, who's this idiot? He wouldn't know what he's talking about. And as I said, I'm just taking it for face value and what I see. I'm not looking at the production side of it and how we've had to keep up with all this stuff to keep our businesses from failing and to supply and demand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues around that where we have to consider other ways of doing things and consider the people who are in the industry and actually growing and producing that stuff, because in due respect, our rural sector is the backbone to the country. If we don't have good food, we don't have good health. It's that simple.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah. Actually, and on that's one of the latest things that's happened. I don't know if you've heard, Nick, that Australia's now, long story short, they've done some, you know, all the tariffs that came in from the US, and they've done some deal now where they're going to export most of our meat, and we're pretty well known around the world for having such good quality meat. And so they're now going to export most of our meat to the States, and we're now going to import the meat from America, and they've lifted all the biosecurity restrictions that they used to have. So God knows the quality of the meat that's going to come in. And that's happening now.
Well, we're seeing it with vegetables as well. And the humble old Savoy, if you go to America and order a hot dog, it doesn't have red skin on it. So there's reasons for that. Some of these chemicals and food dyes, all that type of stuff that we're seeing here in Australia have been banned in other countries for 40 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of the chemicals that they're spraying on fruit, and we're importing them from America, they're still using those chemicals.
Yeah.
But they're buying better produce off us that have been banned from using things like Rogar. And, it's a very strange business deal, that one. So we're buying crap in and putting the best of it out.
Yeah.
One of the things, I've never travelled a lot, but in recent years I did a tour through Germany. So Ranger Nick did his tour through Germany, which was quite comical at times, I have to say. But now I forgot. I got sidetracked a bit there. What was I going to say to you?
About you don't travel a lot, but you've travelled more in recent years, and then you went through Germany. We're talking about the quality of meat.
We did a stopover in Thailand. Now, one thing that amazed me the most about Thailand was the quality of the produce.
Yeah.
If you went to the markets in the middle of Bangkok, there was everything that slithered, wriggled and crawled in there.
Yeah.
And most of it was all living. It was very fresh produce.
Yeah.
All of the fruit and veg would have been picked the day before or that morning and brought into the city. And the food was incredible. For a third world country, producing quality food like that was full of flavour, like strawberries that looked quite washed out, but the flavour of strawberry was there. That wouldn't even be a marketable thing on a shelves in Australia.
Yeah.
On shelves in Australia, that strawberry has to look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about
but
the
you
looks.
taste it, and it doesn't even taste like a strawberry. There's very little to no flavour in it. So it was quite remarkable to experience life in a third world country and the quality of simple things like food being so far superior to the likes of Australia. So I'm starting to scratch my head and think if we're not a third world country ourselves yet again.
Yeah, it's like a loop. Like we're somewhere in this section coming back up to the third world. Yeah, because the Korean natural farming, I was thinking about that when you were saying how simple in these like third world countries are. The Korean stuff, it's like stuff you would throw away. You know how much food people throw away, and we can get into that if you want, but how much food is thrown away in grocery stores and restaurants and all that. Most of that stuff you can use to feed the soil to grow really, really vibrant, healthy plants. And that's what the KNF is, Korean natural farming. They take stuff like rice that's going off. You just soak it in water, let it ferment, strain that out, mix a little bit of that with water, pour it on your plants, feed the microbes. It's very cheap. It's very effective. And then, with as much stuff we throw away, we do have what we need to turn the soil around, but it's just a different way of thinking and looking at it.
It is, and it's more time-consuming. See, Isaac, this is what we've got to keep looking back at when we talk about things like this. To do it in our backyard is one thing. To do it on a scale for major production, you've got to you've got to consider how long it's going to take, what smells might incur. That might float into neighbouring villages and all that sort of thing, and once it's in the sun, it doesn't take long to break down. So the smells and that they're going to be there short term. I kind of get all that, but we still have to consider supply and demand and how is the best way to produce that food. And it's interesting that you said about how much food goes to waste, because I did hear some numbers not that long ago that said that 3/4 of the world's food that's produced globally is thrown away. It goes to waste.
Wow.
3/4. That is hard for me to fathom. I don't know how accurate those figures are, but that is just incredible.
I'm actually not surprised by that, because I think if you factor in the waste from supermarkets, restaurants, like more commercial sort of places, but then if you also factor in the amount of people, and I know people, like I grew up in Sydney, so the city folk, I know people very close to me, I'm not going to name any names, but they do their weekly grocery shop. They buy so much fruit and veg. They don't cook most nights of the week because they're getting takeout and whatever, and then they just throw it out. So if you factor in that, I actually can believe that it's 3/4 of production, which is, it's really not nice to think about, because that's the biggest thing now is like we shop at our local farmers market we get all our fruit and veg there. The fruit and veg we can't get at the market, we go to our local fruit and veg stall who source locally. It's not organic, but we just do a good wash of whatever we're buying from there. And the meat is the biggest thing now because, we really don't like to buy from supermarkets. We do buy organic if we have to, but really, I think that's what it's got to come back to now is just, one, growing as much fruit and veg as you can, depending on where you live. But even if you're in a little apartment, I grew herbs and stuff in an apartment when I lived in the city. Anyone can do that. And that's a great place to start. But if you've got a bit of land, even if you've just got a small backyard, just have a little plot and just grow what you can. Just start with that. But then I think, especially in our area, Northern Rivers and we're up on the sunny coast now and people have land here as well. It's like if you can start, and people are starting to do this now, is like sort of buying cattle. So buying a couple of cows or a pig, couple of pigs or some lamb and sheep, and sort of crowdsourcing, rearing them, knowing exactly what's going into their bodies, and then slaughtering them and cutting it up and everyone's getting a cut. I think that's the best way to go now, because otherwise, even with organic meats, buying it, you still don't know. Like most of them, I'm pretty sure, are still vaccinated, and they don't have to. That's not a requirement of organic meat to not be vaccinated. And you still never know how they're being treated, what food they're eating. Like you just don't know.
So you're saying eat your pets?
Well, maybe not pets, but
Yeah, she's part. Well, you're more like Middle Eastern and Serbian, but in Serbia,
well, that's the Eastern
they would eat a
Europeans.
horse. I would wager your family members have probably eaten one of their horses.
But that's how my Serbian side of the family, that's how they lived in Serbia. They're from the villages, and that's what they would do. They would rear the pigs, and like pigs were like big there because they can get so much meat out of them. And they're very cold winters, it snows, and so they'd rear everything in the warmer months and then like stock up for the winter. Like that's just how they did it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the time to kill with no refrigeration and all the likes. But yeah, look, I as I say, being from a big family, there's so many stories and so much fun to be had. But when, baby goats or lambs come home, or potty calves or whatever, because they were going to die up the paddock, they weren't going to live up the paddock, so they'd come home. And as kids, it was a great novelty to have to feed them with a titty bottle and all that sort of stuff. It was, and everyone loves doing that. I mean, who doesn't like feeding it, But we got to give them realistic names like Meat Tray or Lamb Chop or, I've got a beast at home at the moment. He's on the list for next year, and his name's Rissole.
Rissole. Yeah, we had one growing up. We had our first steer we raised, and his name was Sirloin.
There you go.
I love it.
Well, we know what's going to happen to that. So, and we'd get home from school one day and there'd be lamb on the table and we didn't give it a second thought. That was just what happened, what we did. And, my old man, he was an incredible chap. He was, God bless his little heart. I tell you, I miss my parents so much. I really do. I had a great childhood. The longest 2 weeks of my life, but I had a great childhood. And it was just good to have parents like that where you were taught really good grounding and ethics, and if you didn't abide by some of those, you got a whopping. Most of the time you just got pulled into line. There was plenty of siblings around to do that. The parents don't have to do it. I find it the same in the schoolyard. Your mates will sort you out. Your teachers don't have to.
Yeah.
It's all about right, Wally, they're going to pull you up for it,
Yeah.
But, Dad, daylight to dark, at work as a labourer. He was in New Guinea, of course. He was of that age. So he'd never come back well from New Guinea and ended up raising a family of 10 kids, Just incredible what he achieved.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about money. It was never about money. It was more about being happy and helping each other. And, so he worked from daylight to dark. He cut firewood, 5 ton of firewood of a weekend. And that happened every weekend and in between other things. But he had a contract with the likes of the local bakery, the pubs, the memorial club to supply them wood for their stoves.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's hard work.
5 ton of wood would be cut on the weekend, and
especially Australian wood. I don't know if you've seen this, but online there's this thing going around where they got these men, they're like muscular and they're chopping wood, and like women like to watch these things, but they'll have this big American like pine tree and they'll cut it in half with one swing. I'm like, mate, you can't do that in Australia. You've seen even a normal pine tree here cuts differently. You take an axe to that, like you better bring friends.
There's a lot of hardwoods in Australia, that's for sure, that they're nothing like what you'll see in America or Europe. And like, I guess the best example I can think of that is how we sharpen our chainsaws. Like, in America, you sharpen your teeth at 60 degrees. Here we sharpen them at 30. Otherwise, we'd be forever sharpening a chainsaw.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll have to remember that because, I do a bit of chopping around the farm, around the land.
But no, it's quite remarkable. And choosing those woods, like with what I do with the campfire cooking and camp oven cooking, good quality timber takes a lot of hard work out of your cooking. So if you're familiar with the heat source and how it's going to perform, then you've just taken all the guesswork out of your heat control.
Yeah.
So if and when I head far enough inland to fringe the Simpson Desert, I'm going to bring home a load of Gidgee because it's one of the nicest timbers in the world to cook with. It's just got a flat line heat. It's very hot, but it's a very flat line heat. So you don't need a big fire. You don't need a lot of heat to cook with. Heck, I just come home at lunchtime yesterday. I got home. I lit about half a dozen sticks, a couple of inches round and a foot long, and that was enough to cook a roast dinner for 5 last night.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. Just beautiful timber. And when I was in Europe, holy heck, you had to have a roaring fire going the whole time just to produce heat to cook with, and you'd be pinching coals and things out of the fire consistently. Where with this one, I sit down, set my dinner, enjoy a few drinks and company, and then eat 2 hours later.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of really good wisdom on cooking in the wild like that. It's really some of the best food that I've ever had. But you're right, like when you're cooking with just normal pine, like in America, I cooked a leg of lamb just like on a spit over it. It took me about 2 hours, and it was just a small, like a small one like that.
Wow.
About 2 hours. Some of the best tasting meat I've ever had. But the wood selection is important.
That's
actually
the Boy Scout seasoning, Isaac. Dirt, ash, all that sort of thing brings wonderful flavors out in your meat.
Yeah, it really does.
So I want to get Nick's opinion on this. I had a s'more for the first time the other night, a classic American, what do you call it? Quintessential American camp food. And it's like, you toast the marshmallows. And traditionally you put like a bar of chocolate, like a chocolate square between two. They use graham crackers, but we would use like wheat biscuits or wheat, not wheat bix, but like wheat crackers. And you squish it all together and you eat it. Now, I had one for the first time about a month ago on Isaac's birthday. We were around a campfire and I said, this has got to be the worst camp food ever because it's so messy and sticky and it just ends up everywhere and you got marshmallow all over your hands. Worst. So I want to get your opinion. 1, what you think about s'mores, and 2, what's your favorite camp food to cook when you're out by the fire?
Well, as far as sweets goes, any food goes, really. It always tastes better if it's dripping off your elbows when you got mangoes and twisties on a stick. Twisty on a stick is one of the all-round favourites, probably one of the first things you learn to do in Scouts.
What's twisties on a stick?
It's just a damper, and you wrap it around a stick and make a little cup out of it, so you roast it over the fire. And when it slides off the stick easily, then you know it's baked through. You fill it up with fly bog or golden syrup and hoe into that. It gets everywhere. Absolutely sweet as, absolutely fantastic. But that's probably one of the best all time and something so the kids can do and get involved with around the fire. Really simple. So that'd have to be one of my favourites. That would have to be one of the better ones, especially for a young family and the likes. Whereas marshmallows, one of my pet hates around a campfire is marshmallow.
Yeah.
I worked in Education Queensland in outdoor recreation for too long to develop a liking of marshmallows because they either ended up stuck somewhere to your bum or whatever because someone had shaped one on fire. But I always seem to end up with one stuck to the bottom of my boot.
Yeah.
Do you ever try feeding one to a crocodile?
A marshmallow.
Yeah, it's like
I can't say I've made a habit of feeding marshmallows to crocodiles. Isaac, what's your story?
Yeah, Ranger Nick's not going to be happy about this story. I was horrified. So when we traveled the States, we were in New Orleans and we went and did I was going to say like a swamp river. What are they called?
There's
like the
airboat. Those airboat with a big fan on the back, and they go through the swamps.
Yeah. And you say, not crocodiles, you guys have alligators. And what else did we see? Was it a raccoon?
Yeah.
Raccoons. And anyway, so we stop, we see an alligator, he turns the boat off and we kind of go. And then he pulls out bloody marshmallows and puts them on a stick and dangles it out. And the alligator comes up and eats the marshmallow and it's doing tricks and all this. I almost died. I was like, no one in Australia would feed Australian wildlife marshmallows.
You'd be surprised what people will feed the wildlife in Australia thinking they're doing good. But, yeah, you won't see it at a crocodile park in Australia. It's usually a chook on a stick that they do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's high class.
We've done one of those.
Dead animals.
Yeah, we've done one of those boat tours up in Cairns. Like when I was, growing up, we'd go for holidays there. And they'd use little cubes of meat to throw out to the animals, like not bloody marshmallows. I just couldn't. I was like, Steve Irwin would be rolling in his grave right now.
It's quite interesting that you brought that subject up about feeding the wildlife because, as I mentioned, a lot of people think that their health. Well, dingoes are a classic example. I've got a solution for the dingo problem on what do they call it now? Not Fraser Island, Durajari or something, Dajari.
Oh, I didn't even know they'd renamed it.
Yeah. Excuse me if I got that wrong, but it's something like that. But I'll call it Fraser Island because we're all familiar with that.
Yeah.
Simplest way to solve the problem with the wild dogs or the dingoes on Fraser Island is to take the people away.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a beautiful place to go and visit. I've been there myself, it absolutely remarkable place to visit. But yeah, I have to say it's the people that are causing the problems. And generally that's the case. I did a lot of animal husbandry, and with a young family, it was so educational for the whole family.
Yeah.
And yeah, just things like diet and what to feed. Like kangaroos, they'll eat bread. If you give them a bit of bread, they'll eat the bread. No trouble at all.
Yeah.
However, the issue that is created there is it's not their natural diet.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They're used to more forms of roughage like wiregrass and stuff like that they'll eat, and it's not all mushy and gets stuck between their teeth. Basically, if you feed a macropod bread, especially if you're feeding it consistently bread, it's very likely that animal will lose its teeth, therefore starve to death over time. So that's a horrific way to die.
Oh, that's
so if
terrible.
you think you're doing favours feeding wildlife, forget it. Birds are another issue. I see so many people putting out in little bird trays and ponds and things, seed and that to encourage the birds in. If you want to encourage the birds in, plant native varieties of plants. Yeah, melaleucas and grevilleas and stuff like that, hakea. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful birds will come down, all your native species to suckle off that, where if you're giving them seed, which isn't a huge issue, but if you happen to get sick or go away on an extended holiday, who feeds those birds that have become reliant on you putting that feed out for them? And they soon forget to harvest or how to harvest for their natural diet. And that might sound stupid, but it is quite a fact, and it's a reality that a lot of people don't quite understand. So although it's nice to have the birds around, you put the feed out for them, in a lot of cases you're not doing them any favours, because dehumanising animals is a very difficult thing to do. They'll become your friend real quick. If you put your time in, like if you're training a horse even, for example, if you put the time in from day one, that horse is going to respond and do things, unbelievable what you can teach animals to do.
Yeah.
So, yes, unfortunately, dehumanising animals, and it's as joyful as it is to get close to certain animals. Like I recall having, a pet fox, a pet pig. I had a pet pig that would actually fetch a ball and jump up on the back of the ute with the dogs.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and it was just a feral pig. It was just a little black pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guess what happened to him?
What?
He was very tasty. He got too big, so he went in the pot too.
Oh,
But,
of course.
yeah, but
Fill the freezer.
Yeah, I'll have to trade another pig.
Yeah.
But yeah, just some of the animals that we've had from kids, even reptiles, different snakes and lizards that we've brought home, they learn so quickly.
Yeah.
Mum used to tear her hair out. We'd have, I remember one time we brought home frill-neck lizards, but we brought home all the eggs, and we had them all set up in a little cupboard, and it worked much like an incubator, I guess, but
Oh, wow.
all set in foam and all that sort of thing. Well, they hatched out, and there was hundreds of lizards all through the house.
Oh,
my
no
God.
way.
Did any of them end up in the pot? Yeah, do you ever eat any of the lizards? You ever cook them up?
Oh, I've eaten quite a bit of stuff from out of the scrub, different lizards, and only if I have to. I can't say it's something I go out of my way to do.
Yeah.
I don't need to. As kids, we'd sort of take a rifle and a bit of fishing line, and that was about it, really. Box of matches, and off we'd go. We'd be gone for 3 or 4 days and just eat what
Sounds
we could
amazing.
catch. Yeah.
Yeah. What about bats? I just remember that from the Crocodile Dundee movie. There's a scene where the Aboriginal guys are eating bats, and I don't like the idea of just something that's wild that you eat, goanna, bat, whatever.
One of the first things we did when Isaac came out. One of the first things we did when Isaac came out was watch Crocodile Dundee, and I had to debunk all of the things that aren't really what Aussies do.
I actually watched it the other day and went, God, that was a crap movie.
Right?
Oh, bloody. Anyway, it's credit where credit's due, though, I have to say. But yeah, look, fruit bat is probably the best meat I've ever tasted. I have to say.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And they're very moist and very sweet because they eat fruit.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it because of their diet?
Yeah, absolutely. You get pigs out of the rainforest that have just been eating fruit, and it's a much sweeter meat.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah, and apparently cassowary's the same. So that
Oh,
I
wow.
can't tell you. I haven't eaten cassowary. I've eaten sea turtle and dugong and
Oh,
quite a few
my
other things.
goodness.
It's quite amazing. The first time that I tried fruit bat, it's very good for asthma.
Oh,
So
there we go. Isaac needs some of that.
I know where to hunt
if
some.
you talk to any elder, they'll tell you to, spectacle bats and fruit bats, boil them up, make a tea, or just eat them, and they'll fix
Wow.
that asthma up. Yeah. So a lot of
try that.
the Australian bush has so many remarkable plants, and up until the last decade or so, really hasn't been utilised, and now it's becoming more and more knowledgeable. I'm playing with a lot of it myself. Some of it I'd played with in the past, but not only the nutritional value, but the medicinal value in Australian plants are just incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely beyond my knowledge to any other. It's all natural, basic seed stock. It hasn't got GMOs. It hadn't been changed in any way. It's all, and really the flavours are quite unique. I've been doing a lot. Beef and kunzia comes out really, really good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and smoking in the camp oven, which I don't think has ever been done before. I think I'm a little bit of a pioneer in that area because I'm yet to run into anyone that says, oh, yeah, Granddad used to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not hearing any of that.
Yeah.
So these are the things that alcohol can do for you, see. And in a drunken stupor one night, I decided to start smoking fish, and it was coming out so good. So recently I've started introducing that to my shows, especially at things like the Australian Camp Oven Festival and Trundle Bush Tucker Day and stuff like that that's all focused on camp cooking, So, yeah,
That's
a lot
awesome.
of coming over and checking that out, what I'm doing, thinking it's something a bit different, never heard of it before.
I'd love to go check that out.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun
Put
because,
some of that in the calendar for the...
yeah.
We'll follow that and show up one of these days.
Well, this is a perfect... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Trundle Bush Tucker Day is coming up. It's only the next month or so. And the Australian Camp Oven Festival is the first weekend in September, first weekend in October, first weekend in October every even year.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
and where's that one at?
That's at Millmerran.
Where's that? Nick?
Millmerran's west of Toowoomba.
Oh, okay. So up north. Oh, good. We'll have to. We've been looking for some excuses to go up north, Queensland, because Isaac hasn't been that far up yet.
Yeah, all right. Well, Millmerran's pretty much dead west from where you're situated right now. From where you're sitting, you're pretty much dead west.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll definitely have to go check it out. Awesome. Well, this is a perfect segue to sort of wrap up and let everyone know where they can find you. Obviously, you're on tour at the moment, where they can get your curry kits, because obviously we're lucky enough to get them from the markets from you, but you mentioned that they can get them online. And yeah, where else they can find you? Your YouTube. We found your YouTube. Love your YouTube. Got so many good recipes on there and just easy way to make stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Heap of stuff on there. There's quite a bit of green stuff from the early days, but there's also some pretty professional filming and that on there off the television and the likes. We do have a few things in the pipeline we're working on at the moment, so hopefully we can get funding and pull them off. So really exciting, actually. I'm looking forward to sharing all of that stuff with people.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're always mucking around trying to come up with something a bit new and different and exciting, but I'm not real good at social media and computery stuff, so you get.
Don't worry, we're not that great either.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all stuff that, as you go, sometimes people come on and just help you out and promote stuff, and we're happy to do that anytime as well. Anytime you got a video project coming up or you want to promote it, we'll spread the word.
Yeah, for sure.
I won't say too much now, but next time we meet, I'll have a chat to you about what we're trying to do, but and hopefully taking the right steps towards doing it. Look, I got to give credit. Getting into this industry, as I said, I was a dumb country boy. I was just a labourer. There was nothing, and I was happily doing that. Typical Aussie, just get up, work, have a beer at the end of the day. I'm happy, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But now getting into the industry I'm in now, like in entertainment, and well, it's kind of starting to turn into filming and things too. But I've got to tip my hat to the people who get from start to finish through all that, because there's so many hoops to jump through. It's so hard to get things at times like, what do you call it?
Just like funded or?
Yeah, well, the funding in general. The funding is probably the biggest step. So trying to get that to happen is probably your biggest hurdle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we had Chris K on, and he's a filmmaker, and he's done some good projects. And right now, their current project, they're still trickling in funding, and it's kind of just getting produced as it can. But,
that's like a professional documentary. Like, he's a professional filmmaker. And even just doing the podcast, like, we love, my girlfriend and I, a couple of years ago, before I met Isaac, we wanted to do our own podcast. And now that I do it with Isaac, I said to her, we never would have done a podcast together. I wouldn't have known the first thing about how to record it, how to get mics and plug them in and get it all working. And then the post-production and video editing. And I had no clue. I've learned so much through the process, but it's really, that's kind of Isaac's thing. So, and thank God. But I think, people when you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, it looks so easy. Like, you just film something and you whack it up on YouTube, and there's so much more that goes into it. So I'm with you. I definitely can appreciate the amount of work that goes in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Nick. I've loved this conversation. We always love having a yarn with you at the market, so it was great to have you on. And we'll pop all your links in the show notes. We definitely recommend people go and check out the YouTube. Definitely can't recommend the curry kits highly enough. They are just delicious. So for people that can't catch you at the markets, definitely head to the website. And then if people can catch you on tour, is that all on your website where you'll be on tour?
Yeah, there's an event on rangernick.com.au. You'll find an events calendar, so you'll be able to keep in touch with what's going on there. Or if you want to engage me to do anything, it'll give you an idea of the availability.
Perfect.
All right. Well, such a pleasure having you on, and I feel very fortunate that we live close enough and got to meet you in person at the markets. And this is just adding a lot more to this show, because Natural AF is all about replacing the synthetic with the natural. And the first step, a lot of it is just what you put in your mouth. Like you said, you really got to be conscious of that.
That's
and
right. And be good
I just
to your
thank
mother.
you for your experience and your wisdom on that.
Absolutely. So thanks very much for having me. It's been a joy. I hope that that was found interesting, as you said, to the general community. And I'll just leave with a little poem that I wrote about myself. Would you like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
go for it.
There's a little poem that I wrote about myself. I've called it Arses. Now, there was a young lad named Nicholas, and he wandered through the long grass. He came upon a circus, lifted up the canvas, saw a lady bare ass, stuck it with a compass. Wasn't that ridiculous?
And there you have it. Oh, beautiful. Thanks for coming on,
Thanks,
Nick. We'll catch
Nick.
you next time.
No worries, folks. Enjoy your day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Natural AF podcast, where we explore holistic healing modalities, mindsets, and methods that reconnect us to nature and our natural state of being.
If something resonated, share this episode and see the show notes for our guest links, as well as all of our discount codes for our aligned affiliates and natural art form, where we handcraft a range of organic, natural remedies to help support your body's natural healing abilities and help support the show.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a few seconds to leave us a rating and review. And if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, hit the like button and drop us a comment, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
We're not here to conform. We're here to remember what's real. So step into your power, be curious, and be
Natural AF.